Staff Sergeant Camila Harris had earned her reputation the hard way, one impossible shot at a time. At 31 years old, with an unremarkable appearance that helped her disappear into any crowd, she was the U.S. military's answer to problems that couldn't be solved with conventional force. When intelligence confirmed that an enemy sniper team, 5 women specifically recruited and trained to terrorize coalition forces, had racked up 89 confirmed kills in just 6 weeks, Command made a call they'd made only twice before. They activated Camila. The enemy's female snipers were ghosts, deadly and untraceable, operating with tactics that defied every counter-sniper protocol. But what those 5 hunters didn't know as they planned their next kill was that someone was already tracking them, studying their patterns, learning their habits. And unlike anyone they'd faced before, this hunter understood exactly how they thought, because she'd been trained to think the same way. The war was about to become personal in a way that only happens when the world's most dangerous women hunt each other across a battlefield where there are no second-place finishes. The briefing room at Forward Operating Base Sentinel was designed for bad news, but the intelligence officer's face suggested this was worse than usual. Major David Chen stood at the front of the room, a map of the operational area projected behind him, marked with red dots that told a story of systematic devastation. Gentlemen, and Sergeant Harris, what I'm about to brief is classified top secret. 6 weeks ago, we began losing personnel to sniper fire at an alarming rate. Not the usual opportunistic shots from local insurgents, but precision kills from extreme range by shooters with professional training. Chen clicked to the next slide, showing a grainy photograph of 5 women in tactical gear. Intelligence has identified the threat. An enemy sniper team, all female, specially recruited and trained by their military intelligence directorate. They're not local fighters. They're professional soldiers operating in our area specifically to target coalition forces. One of the officers in the room, Captain Rodriguez, spoke up. Female snipers? Is that confirmed? Absolutely confirmed. Enemy forces recognized that female operatives could move more freely in this region, blend into civilian populations, and operate from positions that would draw less suspicion than male fighters. They recruited women with shooting backgrounds, competitive marksmen, hunters, former military, and put them through intensive sniper training. The results have been devastating. Chen clicked again, showing a tactical map covered in casualty markers. In 6 weeks, this team has 89 confirmed kills. They operate in pairs or as a full team, depending on the target. They hit us at extreme ranges, 800 to 1200 meters, from positions we don't identify until after the shooting stops. They never stay in one location more than 24 hours, and they're escalating. Last week, they took out a convoy commander and 2 security personnel in a coordinated attack that lasted less than 90 seconds. The room was silent, officers processing the implications. An enemy sniper team that competent, that mobile, and that successful represented a threat that would only grow if not neutralized. Traditional counter-sniper operations have failed, Chen continued. These women understand our tactics, our response protocols, our search patterns. They're always one step ahead because they think differently than the male snipers we're used to tracking. Rodriguez asked the obvious question. So what's the solution? Chen looked at Camila, who'd been sitting quietly in the back of the room, taking notes and studying the enemy movement patterns. The solution is Sergeant Camila Harris. She's the only counter-sniper in our inventory who successfully eliminated a female enemy sniper team before. That was 18 months ago in a different theater, different enemy, but similar tactics. She understands how they operate because she thinks the way they think. All eyes turned to Camila. She was 31, but could pass for younger or older depending on the situation. Her appearance was deliberately unremarkable, medium height, average build, the kind of person who disappeared in crowds. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her eyes were dark brown and calm, revealing nothing of what she was thinking. She'd learned long ago that being underestimated was an advantage. Let them wonder if she was really capable of what her file claimed. The proof would come when it mattered. Chen continued. Sergeant Harris has 73 confirmed kills over 8 years as a military sniper. 41 of those were enemy combatants who never knew she was there. She's completed 13 counter-sniper missions with a 100% success rate, and she's the only operator in our forces who's been specifically trained to hunt snipers who hunt us. "What's the plan?" one of the other officers asked. Camila spoke for the first time, her voice quiet but carrying authority that came from absolute confidence in her capabilities. "I study their pattern until I can predict their next position. Then I get there first and wait. When they arrive to set up their shot, they become my target instead. It's simple. I become the trap they walk into." "These are professionals," Rodriguez said. "They won't make it easy." "I don't need easy. I need predictable. Every sniper has patterns, preferred ranges, favorite positions, habits they don't even realize they have. I'll find their patterns, and that's when they stop being hunters and become targets." Chen pulled up detailed intelligence files. "The enemy team has 5 members. We've identified 3 of them through intercepted communications and surveillance. The leader is called Viper, real name unknown, but she's credited with at least 25 of the team's kills. Then there's Shadow and Whisper, both with approximately 15 kills each. The other 2 remain completely unidentified, but we know they exist from operational patterns that indicate a 5-person rotation." Camila studied the surveillance photos. The 3 identified snipers were all in their 20s or early 30s, physically fit, and according to the intelligence notes, had backgrounds in competitive shooting before being recruited. Viper appeared to be the oldest and most experienced, with a confidence visible even in grainy surveillance footage. "What's their next likely target?" Camila asked. Chen highlighted an area on the map. "Supply convoy route from FOB Sentinel to FOB Apache, approximately 40 kilometers. It's the most vulnerable stretch of road in our sector, and they've hit it twice before. Intelligence suggests they'll hit it again within the next 72 hours. "Then that's where I'll be," Camila said simply. "I'll need complete operational freedom. No radio check-ins that they could intercept, no backup teams that could give away my position, no overhead assets that might alert them to surveillance. I work alone, and I work silently. When the job's done, I'll report back." Rodriguez looked skeptical. "You're going after 5 trained snipers alone? That's suicide." Camila met his eyes with a gaze that had seen things he probably couldn't imagine. "I've done it before. The mistake people make is thinking 5 against 1 favors the 5. In sniper work, numbers don't matter. Position, patience, and precision matter. I'll have all 3 advantages because they won't know I'm hunting them until it's too late." Major Chen nodded. "Sergeant Harris has full operational authority. All support assets are at her disposal, but she decides when and how to use them. Gentlemen, I suggest we let the professional do her job." The briefing ended, and Camila returned to her quarters to prepare. She laid out her equipment with the methodical precision that had kept her alive through 8 years of the most dangerous job in the military. Her primary weapon was an M2010 enhanced sniper rifle, chambered in .300 Winchester Magnum with an effective range of 1,200 meters. She'd made kills at 1,400 meters with this rifle, pushing it beyond its rated capabilities through perfect fundamentals and environmental calculation. She also carried a Mark 12 special purpose rifle as a backup, lighter, more mobile, perfect for closer engagements if the situation deteriorated into running firefights. Her optics included a Schmidt and Bender scope with variable magnification, a spotting scope for observation, and night vision for operations in darkness. She carried a rangefinder, a ballistic calculator, environmental sensors, and communication equipment she hoped she wouldn't need. But the most important equipment wasn't gear. It was the knowledge she'd accumulated through hundreds of missions. She knew how snipers thought because she was one. She knew their habits, their preferences, their mistakes. She knew that even the best snipers developed patterns, and patterns were vulnerabilities. Over the next 24 hours, Camila studied every piece of intelligence on the enemy team. She reviewed their previous kills, looking for patterns in timing, location, shot selection, and escape routes. She built a psychological profile of each identified sniper based on their shooting style. Viper, the team leader, preferred extreme-range shots, 900 to 1,200 meters. That suggested confidence and capability, but it also meant she needed specific terrain features to achieve those ranges. She was a patient hunter who waited for perfect shots. Shadow operated at medium ranges, 600 to 800 meters, and showed a preference for hitting moving targets. That required exceptional skill but different tactics than extreme-range work. She was aggressive, willing to take riskier shots. Whisper was the team's close-range specialist, 400 to 600 meters, and focused on rapid follow-up shots. Intelligence suggested she often provided security for the others, engaging targets of opportunity while her teammates lined up primary shots. The two unidentified snipers remained mysteries, but their existence created a 5-person rotation that allowed constant operation without fatigue. That was professional, disciplined, and dangerous. Camila identified the supply route's most vulnerable point, a stretch of road between two ridgelines that created a natural shooting gallery. Any convoy traveling that route would be exposed for approximately 2 kilometers, visible from elevated positions on either ridgeline. The enemy team had hit this location twice before, both times from the northern ridgeline. Conventional thinking suggested they'd use a different position for the next attack, but Camila saw something others might miss. The northern ridgeline offered superior sight lines, better escape routes, and natural features that concealed sniper positions perfectly. She bet they'd use it again, because good snipers returned to positions that worked. Arrogance, or maybe just confidence in their abilities, would make them think they could use the same position and still remain undetected. Camila positioned herself on the northern ridgeline 36 hours before the next scheduled convoy. She found a location with sight lines covering the 3 most likely sniper positions, established a hide that would conceal her from aerial observation and ground patrols, and settled in to wait. Waiting was what separated professional snipers from amateurs. Amateurs got bored, fidgety, careless. Professionals understood that waiting was the job. Pulling the trigger was just the conclusion of hours or days of perfect patience. Camila waited 42 hours without moving from her position, except to relieve herself during darkness. She ate cold rations, drank water sparingly, and maintained absolute discipline. She observed the ridgeline through her optics, studying every rock, every bush, every shadow. On the morning of the convoy, just after dawn, she saw movement. 2 women appeared on the ridgeline approximately 800 meters from Camila's position, moving with the careful efficiency of trained operators. They wore local civilian clothing over tactical gear, making them harder to identify from a distance. They carried what appeared to be Dragunov sniper rifles, standard enemy military precision weapons. Camila observed through her scope as they established a shooting position overlooking the supply route. Professional setup, 1 sniper, 1 spotter, both scanning the road below for the approaching convoy. But something was wrong. Camila's instincts, honed through years of counter-sniper work, told her this was too easy. 2 snipers in an obvious position while 3 others remained unaccounted for. This felt like bait. She shifted her observation, scanning other areas of the ridgeline. There, 1,100 meters away, nearly at her maximum effective range, another position. Movement so subtle she almost missed it, but once identified, unmistakable. 2 more snipers establishing an overwatch position. The tactical picture became clear. The 2 obvious snipers were decoys, meant to draw fire from coalition counter-sniper teams. The real kill team was in the overwatch position, ready to eliminate anyone who revealed themselves by shooting at the decoys. It was smart, professional, and exactly the kind of thinking that had kept this team alive for 6 weeks. But Camila had seen this tactic before. The trick was recognizing which position was the trap and which was the real threat. She made her decision. The overwatch position was priority. Take out the real threat first, then deal with the decoys. The challenge was range. At 1,100 meters, she was pushing her rifle's effective capabilities. Wind, temperature, humidity, elevation, every environmental factor would affect her shot. She needed perfect calculations and perfect execution. Camila spent the next 20 minutes observing wind patterns, calculating range with her laser rangefinder, and inputting data into her ballistic calculator. The wind was tricky. Variable speeds at different distances, swirling around the ridgeline's terrain features. She watched the vegetation, looking for patterns in how plants moved at different distances. She observed dust, looking for indicators of wind direction and speed. She built a complete environmental picture that would allow her to compensate for every factor affecting her bullet's flight. The convoy appeared on the road below, 3 vehicles moving at standard speed, unaware of the threat above them. The decoy snipers prepared to fire, one taking aim while the other spotted. But Camila ignored them, focused on the overwatch position where the real killers waited. She could see them clearly now through her scope. 2 women in excellent concealment, one with eye to scope, the other observing with binoculars. The shooter was aiming not at the convoy, but at the ridgeline area where decoy-focused counter-snipers would likely position. Camila calculated her shot one final time, adjusted for every environmental factor, and controlled her breathing. She found the natural respiratory pause where her body was most stable, placed her crosshairs on the Overwatch sniper's center mass with proper holdover for distance and wind, and squeezed the trigger. The M2010 roared, recoil absorbed by proper shooting position. Through her scope, Camila saw the Overwatch sniper drop, the 220-grain .300 Winchester Magnum round, finding its target across 1,100 meters of mountain air. Before the spotter could react, Camila had already worked the bolt, chambered a fresh round, and fired again. The spotter collapsed beside her partner, 2 down, 3 to go. The decoy snipers reacted with professional speed, immediately abandoning their position and moving for cover. They understood instantly that they were now the hunted, that somewhere on this ridgeline was a counter-sniper who'd just demonstrated extreme range capability. Camila didn't pursue them. Chasing snipers was how you got killed. They'd lead you into traps, ambushes, or positions where their superior local knowledge gave them advantage. Instead, she observed, professional snipers under fire didn't panic. They followed training, which meant they'd move to pre-planned fallback positions or rally points. If she could predict where they'd go, she could position herself to intercept. She watched the 2 visible snipers moving through terrain features, using ground cover to shield themselves from the direction of her shots. They were moving east, toward a canyon system that offered multiple escape routes. But Camila noticed something. Their movement pattern suggested they were heading toward a specific location, not just running randomly. That implied a pre-planned rally point where the team would regroup after things went wrong. She began moving parallel to their route, staying concealed, using terrain knowledge she'd gained from 42 hours of observation. She knew this ridgeline now, every depression, every rock formation, every sight line. 20 minutes of careful movement brought her to a position overlooking a small canyon junction where 3 routes converged. If this was their rally point, they'd have to pass through here. She established a hasty firing position and waited. Patience. 15 minutes later, she saw movement, the 2 decoy snipers moving cautiously through the canyon, weapons ready, scanning for threats. They were good, checking corners, covering each other's movement, professional infantry tactics. But they were focused on ground-level threats, expecting ambush from the canyon floor or walls. They didn't expect someone positioned on the ridge above them. Camila acquired the first target, the lead sniper moving into the junction. Range, 450 meters, downhill angle, moderate wind. A much easier shot than the 1,100-meter kill that had started this engagement. She fired. The lead sniper dropped instantly. The second sniper reacted with impressive speed, diving for cover behind rocks and immediately scanning for the shooter's position. She was well concealed, weapon ready, searching for any sign of Camila's location. This one was better than her partner. More cautious, better tactical awareness. Camila recognized the behavior. This was likely Shadow, the aggressive medium-range specialist who'd survived 6 weeks of combat through skill and instinct. Camila didn't take the second shot. Shadow was in good cover, alert, ready to return fire the moment she identified a threat. Forcing this shot would expose Camila's position and create a sniper duel at ranges where Shadow's expertise was most dangerous. Instead, Camila waited, knowing that time pressure would eventually force Shadow to move. The sound of Camila's shots would draw coalition forces to this area. Shadow couldn't stay pinned indefinitely. After 12 minutes of absolute stillness, Shadow made her move, a fast sprint from her cover position toward a canyon exit that led to escape routes. She moved with the speed and efficiency of someone who'd done this before, but Camila had anticipated this. She'd identified the likely exit route during her observation period and already had her rifle aimed at the point Shadow would have to cross. When Shadow entered the killing zone, Camila fired. The shot was rushed by her usual standards, but at 450 meters against a moving target in relatively open ground, her training made it routine. Shadow went down. 4 kills. 1 enemy sniper remained, Viper, the team leader who'd been credited with 25 kills and had kept this operation running for 6 weeks. Camila's radio crackled, the first communication she'd received since starting this operation. "Harris, this is Sentinel Command. We're observing your engagement. Confirm. 4 enemy snipers neutralized?" Confirmed. 1 remains active. Identity, Viper, the team leader. She's gone to ground somewhere on this ridgeline. I'm hunting. Copy. Do you need support? Negative. Support assets would alert her to my position. I need her to think she's hunting me, not the other way around. Harris out. Camila knew that Viper would now understand the tactical situation. She'd lost her entire team to a single counter-sniper who demonstrated capability at extreme range and tactical patience that matched her own. Viper had 2 choices: escape while she could, or stay and try to eliminate the threat. Camila was betting on pride. Professional snipers didn't run from fights. They found ways to win them. Over the next 6 hours, Camila conducted the most careful hunt of her career. She moved slowly through the ridgeline, checking every position a skilled sniper might use, looking for any sign of Viper's presence. It became a chess match played across kilometers of mountain terrain. Camila would position herself with sight lines to likely sniper hides, then wait to see if Viper revealed herself. When nothing happened, Camila would move to a new position and repeat the process. The sun was setting when Camila finally found what she was looking for: fresh disturbance in the soil near a rock formation that offered excellent sight lines back toward the areas where Camila had killed Viper's teammates. Someone had been here recently, observing, learning. Viper wasn't running. She was studying Camila's methods, learning her patterns, preparing to turn the tables. The hunt had become mutual. Camila settled into a position with good cover and multiple sight lines and prepared for a long night. She knew Viper would move after dark, using night vision to gain advantage. But Camila had night vision too, and she had something else. She knew how Viper thought now. 6 weeks of successful operations had made Viper confident, maybe overconfident. She'd lost 4 teammates, but still hadn't retreated, which meant she believed she could win this. That confidence would be her weakness. At 0200 hours, Camila detected movement. A thermal signature approximately 700 meters away, moving slowly through terrain toward a position that would give sight lines to Camila's area. Viper was doing exactly what Camila would do, flanking to get a better angle. Camila could take the shot now, but at 700 meters in darkness with only thermal imaging, it wasn't the certainty she wanted. Better to let Viper commit to her new position, then eliminate her when she was settled and vulnerable. Camila waited while Viper moved into position. She watched through her night vision as Viper established a shooting platform, clearly preparing for a long-duration observation of Camila's suspected location. When Viper stopped moving and began scanning with her own optics, Camila had the shot she needed. Range, 680 meters. Wind, minimal at this hour. Temperature, cold but stable. Elevation, slight upward angle. Target, stationary, focused on a different direction. Camila controlled her breathing, found her natural respiratory pause, compensated for every environmental factor, and fired. Through her night vision, she saw Viper collapse. 5 for 5. The enemy sniper team was eliminated. Camila keyed her radio. Sentinel Command, this is Harris. All 5 enemy snipers confirmed neutralized. Area is secure. Requesting extraction at my coordinates. Copy Harris. Extraction inbound. Outstanding work. 40 minutes later, a helicopter extracted Camila from the ridgeline. She brought with her proof of her kills, photos and identity documents from the enemy snipers, confirmation that the threat was ended. Back at FOB Sentinel, Major Chen met her at the landing zone. 5 for 5 in 72 hours. That's the most successful counter-sniper operation we've had in this theater. Camila shrugged slightly. They were good, but they developed patterns. Everyone does eventually. Once I identified their patterns, it was just execution. You make it sound simple. Sniper work is simple. Wait in the right place at the right time with perfect patience, then make the shot when it matters. The hard part is having the discipline to do everything perfectly when your life depends on it. Rodriguez, the captain who'd questioned whether she could handle 5 snipers alone, approached. Sergeant Harris, I owe you an apology. I doubted whether one operator could handle this mission. Camila's expression didn't change. Numbers don't matter in this work. 5 snipers in different positions with different objectives is 5 separate problems. I solved them one at a time, which is the only way to solve complex problems. The mistake people make is thinking 5 against 1 favors the 5. In reality, it just means the 1 has 5 times the opportunity to demonstrate capability. Over the following days, intelligence confirmed the impact of Camila's mission. The enemy's entire specialized sniper program for this region had been eliminated. The 5 women had been their most successful operators, and losing them dealt a blow to enemy morale that went far beyond the tactical impact. But for Camila, it was just another mission completed. She filed her after-action reports, cleaned her weapons, and prepared for whatever came next. 2 weeks later, she was called back to Major Chen's office. Sergeant Harris, I've got another situation. Different region, similar problem. Enemy sniper team operating with extreme effectiveness. This time, it's 3 male snipers with a combined 60-plus kills. Command wants to know if you're available. Camila looked at the mission brief Chen handed her. She studied the pattern of kills, the tactical approach, the areas of operation. She began building a mental profile of how these snipers operated, where they'd likely position next, what their patterns revealed about their training and psychology. When do I leave? She asked. 72 hours? Will that be enough prep time? I'll need 48 hours to study their patterns, 12 hours to position myself, and 12 hours to complete the mission. 3 snipers, 3 separate problems, 3 solutions. By this time next week, the threat will be neutralized. Chen smiled slightly. You know, most operators would show at least some concern about hunting 3 trained snipers alone. Camila met his eyes with the calm certainty that had made her the military's premier counter-sniper. Most operators aren't trained to hunt hunters. I am. These snipers, whoever they are, they're skilled at killing people who don't know they're being hunted. But I'll know they're there. I'll know how they operate, and I'll be waiting in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. They're dangerous to everyone else. To me, they're just targets who don't know they're targets yet. She picked up the mission file and walked toward the door, already analyzing the enemy sniper's patterns, already planning her approach, already becoming the trap they'd walk into. Because that's what Camila Harris did. She hunted the hunters, eliminated the eliminators, and made the world's deadliest snipers wish they'd chosen a different profession. As she walked through the base toward her quarters, soldiers stepped aside with a respect that had nothing to do with rank and everything to do with reputation. They'd heard what she'd done, 5 enemy snipers eliminated in 72 hours, a threat that had terrorized them for 6 weeks, ended by one woman with patience, precision, and the kind of cold calculation that separated professionals from pretenders. A young private, fresh to the base, asked his sergeant who she was. The sergeant's answer was simple. That's Harris. She's the one they call when snipers need killing. The enemy had 5 of their best hunting us. She went out alone and came back with all 5 confirmed. You know what the scary part is? She makes it look routine, like hunting the world's deadliest shooters is just another day at work. Camila reached her quarters and began methodically preparing for the next mission. 3 enemy snipers, 60-plus kills between them, operating in terrain she'd never seen. To most people, it would seem like impossible odds. To Camila, It was just math, 3 problems, 3 solutions, and 72 hours to execute. She'd done harder missions with worse intelligence. Because the truth about hunting hunters was simple. Everyone had patterns, everyone made mistakes, and everyone eventually faced someone better. The enemy's female snipers had been unstoppable until they met someone who understood that being the best meant never assuming you were the best. It meant treating every mission like your life depended on perfect execution, because it did. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, you can subscribe to see more incredible stories like this one.